Every telescope we've ever built points to a horizon that seems to recede further with every discovery. We scan light years for signals, assuming that the final answers exist at the edge of the universe. Yet, when you look at the complex systems that allow us to observe the universe, the path points back toward the center of human perception. Most of us are raised on a narrative of profound insignificance. We are taught that we are biological accidents, tiny, fragile observers drifting through a cold, dead cosmos that exists entirely independently of our thoughts or our presence. This sense of powerlessness is reinforced by ancient theological structures. They place a supreme authority on a throne above humanity, demanding obedience to a plan we cannot see. In this hierarchy, independence is often framed as a transgression, and salvation is only found through submission to something higher. Modern materialism provides the secular version of this same cage. It defines the universe as a machine made of mindless matter, where consciousness is nothing more than a temporary flickering of neurons, a byproduct of biology that vanishes the moment the heart stops beating. These dual scripts function as a psychological architecture that keeps our attention fixed outward. By defining truth and authority as things that exist only outside of ourselves, they ensure that the full capacity of human awareness remains unexplored. While these scripts are taught in schools and churches, the raw data collected by the military-industrial complex tells a very different story about what we are. Records from the CIA's Stargate program show that for decades, intelligence agencies successfully utilized remote viewing. Their experiments demonstrated that human awareness can operate non-locally, accurately describing distant locations and classified facilities that were physically inaccessible to the viewer's senses. This data aligns with decades of research into near-death experiences. Tens of thousands of documented cases show that personal identity, memory, and clear perception often persist even during periods of clinical brain death, suggesting consciousness is not locked within the physical skull. Inside the world of unacknowledged aerospace projects, these anomalies are treated as operational facts. Reports indicate that black-budget programs actively seek out individuals with high intuitive potential, assets whose cognitive abilities haven't been dampened by modern culture, to interact with technologies that remain unexplainable by conventional physics. The intense classification surrounding these capabilities suggests the government views human consciousness as a strategic asset. They are tracking a phenomenon that proves we are much more than the powerless accidents we've been told we are. Moving past the materialist script requires a different model. Space-time itself is not the bedrock of existence. Our perception is like a user interface. 3D objects are simplified icons that let us navigate an infinite field of consciousness. The brain acts as a quantum antenna. It tunes into this broader field, translating raw, infinite energy into our specific 3D human experience. Dr. Eric Wargo's research suggests this antenna is even more sophisticated, capable of receiving signals across time. He argues that our neurology accesses information from its own future states, explaining why intuition often feels like memories of things that haven't happened yet. These phenomena are not magical or supernatural. They are the natural physics of an observer outside the limitations of the space-time headset, tapping into a field where all points in time and space are interconnected. This intersection of physics and neurology offers a window into why recovered UFOs are so difficult to operate. A pilot used to physical switches and mechanical controls cannot fly a craft that relies on the manipulation of the consciousness field itself. Covert projects have mapped specific brain prints, unique electrical postures the mind takes when intending to act. To fly these exotic crafts, the pilot's consciousness must synchronize directly with the vehicle's navigation system, turning the human nervous system into the primary control interface. Astronaut Eugene Cernan hinted at this. In lunar orbit, he reported flashes of light responding directly to his awareness, yet NASA categorizes these as mere glitches. By dismissing their trained observers, they maintain the narrative of an indifferent material vacuum. The most significant part of the government cover-up is the focus on human neurology. It suggests that our own biology is the specific requirement for these advanced technologies to function, making the human mind the most sought-after asset in the black world. Long before modern physics, the philosopher Baruch Spinoza arrived at a similar conclusion. He introduced the concept of Deus sive natura, God or nature, arguing that the divine is not a separate being, but the infinite substance of the universe itself. Under Spinoza's logic, if the universe is a single, infinite substance, nothing can exist outside of it. You are a localized expression of that substance, the cosmos looking back at itself through a human perspective. This realization is the core of the left-hand path. It is a philosophical mutiny that rejects the tradition of submission. Figures like Aleister Crowley focused on the internal discovery of the individual will, seeking to move divine authority from the sky into the self. To walk this path, you have to dismantle the psychological architecture of obedience. It means you must burn the internal altar you were taught to build for an external judge, and realize that there is no one standing between you and your own sovereignty. Without an external savior to blame or a scripted plan to follow, the burden of meaning shifts entirely inward. You become the axis of your own moral and existential structure, bearing total responsibility for every choice and every consequence. The boundary between your mind and the rest of reality is a construct of the interface. Once that boundary is crossed, you recognize that you are a point where the universe has become aware of its own power, capable of navigating the dark with nothing but the strength of your own will.